One of the things that I thought about when deciding on an action research project was what can I do to impact the environment around me. My first step was to reviewing reports indicated a trend in poor student engagement and grades in a number of the classes at the technical college where I work. In my role as a chair for the Digital Entertainment and Game Design program, I am part of a team that is responsible to track student success in various programs and think of new and creative ways to improve the overall success of the students. So what resources were available? Working within the game design field, I was familiar with serious games and the impact that they were making in the K-12 education and work-based simulation environments. Could we address our student engagement problems by adding video games and simulations to our curriculum to support the coursework? And a bigger question yet would be, how would the students respond if we did? I had to look no further for my evidence than to watch my son and his friend as they were fully engaged in a video game. If we could harness that type of focus from the students and funnel it into learning, then education would be a breeze. The next step would be to present my idea to the other program chairs and pilot one class to see if serious games could make a difference. I explained to my peers that through the use of video games, the auditory, visual, and kinesthetic methods of learning are engaged in acquiring information. Successful gameplay requires analyzing and evaluation of information, which are two of the higher levels of learning on Bloom's taxonomy. The ability to have students fully immersed in the game environment leads to greater on-time task and student learning. Based on my presentation, we elected to introduce serious-based game into the criminal justice program. I worked closely with the program chair and the lead instructor in the criminal justice program to identify course topics that could be enhanced by video games. Many ideas were explored, but the specific topic of police tactics were identified to try to develop a video game to address. In my attempt to utilize tools I was familiar with, I began the process of laying out the floor plan of the school as an environment for the game. A familiar setting might make the game more interesting to the students. What became apparent early on in development was the scope of the project exceeded the time available for the AR project. Because of the limited time available to me, under the recommendation of Dr. Deason, I began the search for an existing game that could meet the criteria of what we were looking for. The game I ended up choosing was SWAT 4. I chose SWAT 4 because it is highly customizable, which would be able to address instructor configurable objectives, and its physics is based in realism. The game was installed on an arcade-style game system that I had refurbished to observe the students' interaction and body language as the game was being played. For my Cycle 1, students were asked to come down to the Commons area and play the video game in small groups of 3. A short tutorial was given on how to use a video game, and the controls and the commands that were in the video game. Students were then asked to spend 10 to 15 minutes on the tutorial mode to get familiar with the controls and the environment. After this time, students were given instructions to subdue an individual and rescue people to meet a scenario-based objective. I was able to record video of the students as they played and recorded the body language and interactions with their peers. Cycle 2 proceeded pretty much in the same manner as Cycle 1, except I allowed for more time so that the students would become more familiar with the controls. By this time, the students were eager to go back and try to better their scores on the game. It was interesting to listen to the students analyze decisions that they made while they played the game. At the conclusion of Cycle 1 and of Cycle 2, I interviewed the students who played the game in the classroom and received their feedback through an online survey I created through Google Documents. What follows are the comments by the criminal justice students reviewing their interactions with the SWAT 4 video game in the classroom setting.
I want a machine for the Army that's $2 million. That thing is quite accurate to what we have. I mean, just the way it identified targets and when you shot it, the accuracy, it was a good machine, and what you guys designed it.
So I mean that's a store-bought game. You can buy that off the shelf. It's for personal entertainment, but it does have value. I was talking to Christine about you can do custom levels with it, with deliverable objectives. If you go through the end of those scenarios, they have how many kills did you do, how many hostages did you rescue, what was your percentage rate. So it has some feedback to you about how your performance was.
Dynamic room entries, how like you stack up, and how you would clear a room in reality is exactly how you do it, you know what I mean, in that game.
Right.
So that I thought that was really neat. You know, they kind of make sure that, and that's important. Anytime you want to squad, you got to know what you're doing when you clear the room, because you know you go this way and you're not following your partners, you're gonna roll the hurt. So I thought that was really cool and really awesome as far as that goes, how detailed it was. So I thought it was great.
I thought it was cool too because from the standpoint of being trained in that stuff, even when I was playing it, I wasn't thinking seriously about it at first. When you have to, for somebody to cover you, you have to keep telling me. And I'm trained in that. So it keeps reminding you that even though it's a game, you're still going to die in there, right?
Right. I mean, like I'm a certified mountain instructor too, so as far as military operations and urban terrain and room cleaning, so I thought it was very.
Everything kind of had a consequence. Like when I played, I decided to go in the front door, and
right.
whenever I did wrong, like the people all went out the back, so I failed the mission. But it just seemed really lifelike to me, and that's kind of the thing that really happened.
So
to pay attention to what is going on. Like I just thought it'd be really easy. It was a game, and like I didn't realize it was rolling right out the back door. Probably quick enough.
So having a type of video game, would that help you to make it stick into your mind a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's the one thing I remember the most about it. I mean, a little bit of avoidable mistakes there. That way.
And I think that with playing it with a different angle, mindset, like you gotta take this a little bit more seriously. It's kind of like doing the whole driver's ed simulator back in the day with cars, with the computer screens. Oh, come on, I use it. See, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, it's kind of like that. I do too. That's the point. But yeah, it's kind of like doing that. It's kind of like doing a simulated thing, and with a different mindset that this is semi-serious. So you got to realize that in real life, this is what's actually going to happen. It's not going to be funny, and with the way that you're running and the physics of it, it's amazing on how you cannot hit a target if you're moving.
Yeah, because it keeps you more interactive. I mean,
Practice is for.
yeah, I mean, back in the day, you'd just sit there and you'd read a book and they'd expect you to get everything you can out of that. But people like me, I need to be immersed in something to actually get the gist of it. So, I mean, a video game teaching you lessons is the perfect way to learn something for a person.
Oh, muscle memory.
Yeah, today's generation is very hands-on. Just about everybody's very hands-on. Hand-eye coordination is huge nowadays.
Throughout this project, I have followed the ADDIE principles of design and development to improve upon the AR process. Addressing different learning styles is core to the research that I have done with serious games. The literature review highlights how serious games are used in education, military, aerospace, government services, corporate, and blue-collar training. It also supports the notion that implementation of video games can improve the students' focus on tasks, which in turn lead to better student engagement in their studies. There are factors such as development costs and acceptance by the administration that prohibit widespread adoption of these types of games in the classroom. What does the future hold? Nothing is for certain, but for now I have a video that I can show the administration that shows how we can develop and find serious games to help our students focus and improve in school. I plan to continue to investigate all program courses and look for courses where I have the opportunity to help out by introducing a serious-based game. I would eventually like to branch out and form a partnership with local K-12 schools and be able to develop games for their programs as well.